The air in the room seems thick, though everyone is smiling. You can sense the tension radiating from your boss, the unspoken grief in your friend's voice, the nervous energy of the stranger sitting next to you on the trip. It hits you like a physical weight, doesn't it? You immediately want to fix it, smooth it over, or brace yourself for the impact. That drive to control the invisible currents around you is what exhausts you. It isn't just about organizing your calendar or paying bills on time. It is a frantic attempt to predict the emotional weather before the storm hits. But here is the hard truth that experts rarely tell you. That tiredness isn't coming from the chaos itself. It is springing from your refusal to let the chaos be. You have been taught to believe that if you just anticipate enough scenarios, you can protect yourself and everyone else. But what if the shield you are building is actually a jail? Back in the 16th century, a French nobleman named Michel de Montaigne realized this. While his contemporaries were busy shouting about absolute truths and rigid rules, Michel de Montaigne did something radical. He locked himself in a tower, looked at his own messy, conflicting mind, and shrugged. He understood that trying to force the world to make sense is a losing game. And for an empath, that game is punishing and endless. I am going to show you why stopping the war against uncertainty is the single most powerful move you can make for your mental peace. But be warned, this requires unlearning almost everything society taught you about being tough. Here is the reality. You crave certainty because certainty feels safe. You want to know exactly how that conversation will go, or why that person's mood shifted 3 degrees to the left. It is like trying to hold back the ocean with a plastic spoon. Michel de Montaigne watched this human tendency and laughed. He did not try to be a guru. He did not claim to hold the map. His motto was simply, "What do I know?" Think about that for a second. In a culture that demands you have a firm stance on everything from politics to your neighbor's lifestyle choices, admitting ignorance is an act of rebellion. For someone with your sensitivity, it is also an act of self-defense. Michel de Montaigne understood that the human soul is not a solid block of concrete. It is more like a stream. It flows, it changes, it doubles back. Yet you beat yourself up for not being stone hard. You feel guilty when your boundaries shake or when you can't perfectly label your feelings. Michel de Montaigne argues that your changeability is not a design flaw. He wrote essays about his fears, his bad memory, and his shifting opinions with raw honesty. He didn't try to present a polished Instagram version of a philosopher. He presented a human being. Imagine trying to build a house on a foundation that moves every single day. That is what you are doing when you try to manage tomorrow based on how you feel right now. It is impossible. The anxiety you feel, that background hum of worry, is just the gap between how life is and how you think it should be. Look at the weather. You do not yell at a rainstorm for falling. You do not try to negotiate with a blizzard. You respect its power, you put on a coat, and you wait for it to stop. But when it comes to emotions, yours or other people's, you try to play God. You try to stop the rain. Michel de Montaigne suggests you simply buy an umbrella. When you stop trying to micromanage the universe, a strange thing happens. The noise quiets down. Michel de Montaigne found that by watching his thoughts without judging them, they lost their power to hurt him. For empaths, this is essential. You absorb so much data from the world. If you try to analyze and file away every single scrap of emotional data, you will burn out before noon. Instead, treat your mind like a busy train station. Passengers, ideas, feelings, other people's vibes arrive, they make some noise, and then they leave. You do not have to board every single train. You do not have to drive the locomotive. You can just stand on the platform and watch. This brings us to the concept of the internal lab. Michel de Montaigne treated his life as an experiment, not a performance. He knew that he was full of contradictions. One day he was brave, the next day he was scared. One moment he was wise, the next he was clueless. And he decided that was totally fine. As a highly sensitive person, you often feel shame for these fluctuations. You figure you have to be the steady rock for everyone else. But what if you admitted that you are just as confused by living as everyone else? There is huge freedom in the phrase, "I don't know." It takes the weight of the world off your shoulders. You do not have to fix the vibe in the room. You do not have to solve your partner's bad mood. You can just let it exist. But here is where it gets interesting. Michel de Montaigne didn't just accept this for himself, he saw it as the door to connecting with others. When you stop pretending to be perfect, you become relatable. When you drop the mask of "I have it all sorted," you give permission for everyone around you to relax too. So how do you actually apply this philosophy in a world that screams for productivity and control? First, challenge your own certainties. When you feel that panic rising because plans are changing, ask yourself, is this really a disaster, or is it just different from what I imagined? Usually, it's just different. Michel de Montaigne taught that our judgment of events hurts us more than the events themselves. Second, make friends with the maybe. Maybe things will work out, maybe they won't. Maybe that person is mad at you, or maybe they just have a headache. As an empath, your intuition is strong, but it is not perfect. Sometimes a silence is just a silence, and sometimes a bad vibe is just someone else's rough day, having nothing to do with you. Third, find solitude. Michel de Montaigne retreated to his library not to hide, but to hear his own voice. You need to separate your energy from the collective static. Turn off the phone, step away from the duties. Sit in a quiet room until you can tell where the world ends and you begin. Finally, laugh at the absurdity of it all. Michel de Montaigne was funny. He poked fun at his own ego and his physical limits. Humor is the ultimate release valve for control. If you can chuckle at your own frantic need to stack the dishwasher perfectly, you break the spell of perfectionism. Life is going to disappoint you. Schedules will fall apart. People will be messy. That is not a bug in the system, that is the system. Michel de Montaigne noted that fighting this current is like paddling upstream in a river of concrete. When you stop resisting, you don't sink, you float. You are looking for peace, but you are hunting for it in the wrong place. You are hunting for it in a finished to-do list or a resolved argument. But peace is found in the mess. It is found in the realization that you are a beautifully unfinished work in progress. So, here is the assignment for you. The next time you feel that urge to control an outcome or fix a feeling, stop, breathe, and say to yourself, I am human, and I do not know what happens next. Notice how light that makes you feel. If this perspective shift sparked something in your gut, or if you felt seen by this description of the empath's struggle, let's keep this conversation going in the comments. What is the one thing you are trying to control right now that is draining your strength? I want to hear your story. And if you want to keep exploring these layers together, please subscribe. You have carried the weight long enough. It is time to put it down.